Hi, thanks for tuning in to Penn Central 99. On this edition, we're going to do a layout update for July 2013. Okay, to get started, we're going to go back in time and have a little bit of fun. As you see here, I've got a DC controller out. I've got some jumper wires hooked up to the track because we're going to run a DC loco for this update. These red wires here are not connected to anything. I just have them separated to make sure I don't have an electrical short while I'm doing this. You notice all my DCC locos are off the track and off to the side. My Digitrax controller is completely disconnected because I don't want to take a chance on anything going wrong. Say we're going to have a little fun, we're going to go back a little retro, and we're going to do a DC update. So let's go ahead and get started. Oh, and before I forget, yes, I know I can run a DC loco on a DCC power pack. I just prefer not to. I hate that whining, screaming noise that it makes trying to interpret the analog signal through a DCC power pack. Now, back to the update. Okay, to have that little fun, as you can see here, I got UP9807, that C44-9W pulling a consist of a couple of center beam, some tank cars, and a couple box cars, just to keep things going while I update you on what I've done in the last couple of weeks. As you can see here from the last update, I've added more track to complete the loop all the way around the room. I now have track 360 degrees around the room. Remember from the last update, this track did not exist, so I went and bought some more flex track so that I could make the connection all the way around. The only thing is as you can see, this is temporary. I put it in just to be able to run trains without starting and stopping. I can do a continuous run. I don't know if I should call this Thumbtack Alley or Jerry Rig Central. Not absolutely sure, but as you can see, the trains are running, the trains are moving, and that's the main thing. I can actually run trains while I'm working on the layout. Okay, here's another angle of, we'll just go ahead and call it Thumbtack Alley, unless somebody else comes up with something different. But as you can see from this angle, I've got that decline from the upper area down to where it ties into the helix over here. And it took me a couple of hours to troubleshoot this because right here, as you can see, where it ties into the helix actually starts to incline. And here we have a decline. So what happens is you got two pieces of track coming together and it ends up creating a V or a valley. So depending on the length of your locomotives or your rolling stock, it's going to affect your angle of approach and angle of departure. And what you can actually do if it's too much of an incline or a V is you're going to high center, in my case, that big locomotive over there, that 6-axle loco. So I had to cut the cork road bed back to the point where I could just have a nice natural transition from upper to lower without it creating a valley or a high centering point. Okay, one of the other things I did is I actually started to paint the track. I've been contemplating this or debating for quite a while on what I was going to do and how I was going to do it. But you can see there's the existing track out of the box, plastic ties and brass rails. And you can see there where I started to paint the track. The reason for that is this back side of the layout is pretty much permanent where it's going to be. So what I did is I painted from that point off to the left there all the way over around to the right, which is about maybe a quarter or 25% of the layout. But you can see I used some Rust-Oleum, rusty metal primer. Turned out a little bit darker than what I thought, but it's not too bad though. It doesn't look too bad. I think it turned out okay. It's a lot better than what it was. Now once I get that ballast in there, I think that'll probably look a little bit better too. But overall, I think it turned out okay. I know some people had some concerns. I've watched other videos about the spray paint melting foam, which is a possibility because most spray paints are hydrocarbon or flammable combustible liquid based, and yeah, they're not compatible with styrofoam and will dissolve it, but you just got to be careful. Don't spray a whole lot on there. The only reason I taped my stuff off is because I didn't want to spray paint the back wall. So I just put some newspaper up and kind of taped it off, but I think it turned out okay. Okay, and last but not least for this update, I was at the hobby shop the other day. I picked up that little forklift. Hopefully you guys will watch the product review that I did on that forklift, but a pretty nice purchase. You see, hobby shop dealer's got the price written on the top there. He always gives a little bit of a discount when you go in there and buy stuff, so I didn't pay that, but I think that's a cool little forklift. It'll definitely go pretty well on my layout with the industries that I'm using, so that was a recent purchase. Well, that pretty much does it for this update. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something. As always, thanks for tuning in and thanks for watching.